Going live in 3.
Save us. What we need now is a savior. Tell you they lie to you. They always burn you. Laid and now they play ya. Life that you gave us, please come save us. What we need now is a savior.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. First off, I wanted to talk about just in general what is going on right now is absolutely crazy. Most people are paying attention within. Obviously, a lot of folks are looking at Minneapolis. They're even looking at my state right now because they're talking about worst case scenario right now as far as the left versus right, a civil unrest scenario. We're literally talking about a civil war at some point as far as if you go on social media and what they're concerned about. But there is, of course, a lot of events going on around the world. Now, I found this video today, and I thought this was just further. There's 100 videos of these kinds of things being posted a day, and a lot of people are actually convinced that China is a better country than ours. Now, I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you, but this is something that is now it is now a theme. It's now kind of got momentum. There are so many people that see these people that post that like say, "Hey, look at how it is in their country." Obviously, well, we just had Diary of CEOs, the channel, have a gentleman on talking about, I believe, in fact, it was a CIA whistleblower before this last one. It was another one, CIA whistleblower that blew the whistle on the torture that was happening at Guantanamo, maybe? I think that's what it was, or he blew the whistle on torture. And I saw this, and he was making comments, and he goes that, hey, people are looking at China and they're saying like, hey, why doesn't our train station look like this? Why doesn't our airport look absolutely spotless? And he was talking about how they put so much money into their infrastructure. Meanwhile, we have been putting most of our money into military, all right? We're talking about a $1 trillion plus budget for the military coming up, which to me says that not only is it going up, it's going up a whole lot, like $1 million or $1.5 trillion or something, that's a war budget. But as far as this is a video that was put out, again, I'll just pop open this real quick. Now, a lot of the folks in the Midwest and even where Dex is over in Georgia, they are dealing with absolute insane ice and snow. And of course, a lot of Fugel family have been saying that they're just sick of, shoveling their driveways. And then you go, everybody's cold here, and you see videos like this go viral where you actually have a freaking high altitude drone that is essentially taking off the ice off of the power lines. Now, this is something that everybody goes, oh, that's so cool. And of course, this is used as part of this bigger thing. There's hundreds of these videos going out, and they do show that China has all of these cool gadgets. Heck, there's one going viral right now, another one about this guy walking into a store and essentially walking out and test driving an exosuit. If you don't know what an exosuit is, it goes around your legs and it walks for you, and it can even run, and it can help you hike. You could hike a mountain with this exosuit on because the motors are doing the work instead of you. It basically walks for you, right? And people see this and they go, oh, it's so great in their country. But meanwhile, they're not talking about the fact that they can't go out and do what we can, which is go out on the street and protest. Now, we're going to talk about here in a minute at the time that our country right now is just all divisive. You have almost every state, like mine at least, going out and saying this is absolutely wrong. We don't recognize our country. At the same time as the right is calling for everybody to speak up in action as well. And you've got this just civil, distress going on the entire time. Well, I don't think it is an accident. I don't think it's an accident that this is happening in Iran as well. I don't think that this is an accident it's happening in Venezuela. I don't think it's an accident that it's happening in Cuba. I don't think it's an accident that it's happening in South Korea. I don't think it's an accident it's going on in Taiwan. And I don't think it's an accident that they just shook up the leadership of China, because I believe that something may just have happened. Again, they're saying that there may have been a potential coup there, but it's hard to know, and there's no absolute verification of it because China clamps down on any information. But what we do know is that there's some evidence that the U.S. was involved and even may have gotten secrets from Chinese leaders that were so high up they could have been the second most powerful person in China as far as the military goes. So if that's true, then we are literally already in World War III, and people just do not realize it. So yes, this video may be cute and it's very, very cool. I hope that American companies get this going, because all of you guys that are without power in the Midwest with that freeze, I'm sure you would like to see something like this on your street, clearing your power lines instead of losing them. But again, we're going to talk about a lot tonight, so stick around. We're going to talk about, of course, Bovino. They are saying that he might be fired, he might not be. There's now even controversy about if that is happening right now. You've got Ultra MAGA against Ultra LIB. So we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Again, we'll be right back right after this.
Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Tell you they lied to you, they always manipulate, and now they play ya. Life that you gave us, please come save us. What we need now is a savior.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Before we get any further, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam. Hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so let's go, and just to kind of shore up that too. So, we are in these just horrid times, and a lot of folks are stressed out. They're afraid. I just showed you over on Marfoogle on news that folks are all over Facebook, not just in my state, but in others, freaking out about freaking fireworks due to the football games. They hear a firework, and they're convincing themselves that it's flashbangs taking their neighbors away. They're so afraid because the echo chamber that they're in is telling them that, that people are coming knocking down their street, and they're sitting at their door with a shotgun waiting for somebody. I mean, this is a crazy time. And meanwhile, they go online and they see, you've got a good chunk of our country that is cold, possibly without power, freezing, and they're seeing that in other countries, they're just taking care of it. They're doing good. Why can't our country do that? And that's one of my points too, is that this is constant. It has grown. I told you guys years ago, China has a 1 million-man army. That is 1 million plus, and I'm sure it's grown since a couple years ago. That is just soldiers in full uniform that sit at a computer. That is their job. They're not there controlling drones. They're controlling literally an account on social media. On top of that, with cell phones with fake bot accounts as well. They're human beings, so that those accounts don't get taken away. They can have 1 million people push a single narrative in a single second, and that is extremely powerful. I'm surprised we have not had our own unit of it. Dex, let's talk about the next story. Ghost mode activated. The USS Abraham Lincoln has just gone quiet, has turned off transponders.
Well, yeah, the move to ghost mode, as they call it, it's a psychological tool to, coercive diplomacy. As January 26th, the Lincoln is expected to be somewhere in the Bay of Bengal in the Gulf of Oman. Well, technically, the USS Abraham Lincoln was just announced today that it has entered CENTCOM waters. So it is in the Indian Ocean now. It's under CENTCOM control. CENTCOM is what covers the Middle East. They did not say it was where its location is. The U.S. officials, though, did say it was not yet ready for any possible strikes. So it's obviously still working its way closer. But it makes a lot of sense, like it going dark at some point during its traversing of the waters on its way to the Middle East. So entering the dark zone of MCON, the primary reason Lincoln has gone dark is to eliminate emission control MCON. By switching off its AIS or automatic identification system transponders, the carrier prevents open source intelligence and commercial tracking services from broadcasting its real-time coordinates. In the high stakes environment of what's going on right now with Iran, and has warned of total war, maintaining positional ambiguity in the carrier's first line of defense that allows the armada to move through the Indian Ocean without providing Tehran with a fixed target for its long-range carrier killer missiles. So keep in mind, they do have long-range missiles that could strike out there if they wanted to strike first. So, of course, it's also about evading Iranian satellite surveillance, creating a strategic uncertainty as we, I don't say we're negotiating right now, but we certainly are positioning a sense of strength against Iran with what has recently gone on there. And of course, they also say it's operational security for a day one strike, obviously protecting that, and then protecting the Armada's escorts, all the other ships that go along with it. So interesting story here about that. But the main point that we all need to realize is that this Iran situation is not over. As we've said a week ago, we were moving this Armada into place, and it is now in CENTCOM control and getting closer to strike range.
And you know, you have most news covering our internal struggles right now, and I don't think that that's an accident. You have what is happening in Iran. Most know. I mean, most smart people know, and some smart people don't somehow, that there's other countries involved in what's happening over there. It's not just their people are like standing up against the man. In fact, it's very hard for them to get their people to stand up against their government. Because if you stand up against their government, you end up like Khashoggi, okay? That's how you end up if you stand up against Iran. They will do the same thing that Saudi Arabia did to, one of our journalists. So that is something, or they'll be hanged from a freaking crane. That's something that most people don't want, right? It's most people don't have the just fearless, like, I will give my life for my views in that country, because of how they put out every piece of information in that country. So right now we are depending on Western media and even international media, which is basically the same thing, to find out what's going on over there. Meanwhile, now we've just gone silent after Maduro and, of course, what happened in Venezuela. They're sending this massive armada. I mean, this is a big armada that they're sending. It tells everybody, the thought is in all of us, right? Is this going to be the same thing? Are they going to take out the supreme leader, the Ayatollah? Weeks and weeks and weeks ago, you saw plans that the Ayatollah and his 20 closest people were ready to go to Russia if anything happened or if it got any worse. You had notes being put out by the central bank telling them to save information, to back up things that they could possibly have a collapse. Well, what's happening here? Everyone all over social media is talking about a collapse and the dollar collapsing, which is totally screwing us up as well. Then you have another camp that's basically saying that this is being done on purpose by the president because this is all meant to be, right? All of his friends got into silver beforehand, and that all of these things are to make the rich even richer. I don't know what's really happening, but one thing I can look at is the big picture, and I've gotten really good at it, along with many of you. The big picture is these things that are happening are not organic. I don't think they are. And you can say, well, why would somebody give their life to start all this stuff? That's the thing. I'm not saying that certain events aren't organic, but the response to it can totally be not only pushed up, it can be magnified and amplified so many thousands of times by how the media responds to it. It's how the governors and how the politicians respond to it, the press conferences. I mean, you could say, oh, well, yeah, look at what they did in the left-leaning press conference right after. Well, I also look at the right-leaning conference that put the guy who, even the guy that was the head of the thing, a lot of folks are saying, he's badass. I don't think he had to choose to wear this huge trench coat to his public appearance that looks straight out of Germany either, right? I don't think he needed to go on like a 5-minute, 8-minute thing before even getting to what happened in Minnesota about, just very condescending tone, like this is what we're doing. There was a better way to communicate that they are trying to get bad people off the street. They picked that gentleman as the PR guy Well, he's going to rub a lot of people wrong. He's the kind of cop that you kind of see, like a lot of people, whether they're left or right, don't like certain types of people, at least cops. I've had police officers that were super respectful. I support the police. I support the blue line, but I don't support the cops that I've dealt with in the past that are condescending and have a power ego trip. And a lot of people pick that up off him. That's just my opinion. Again, I think that his actions and his the things that he said, I agree with a lot of them. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to look at this from the big picture standpoint and look at both sides. And they did these polar opposites back to back. And the country, of course, the people on the left are going to get an echo chamber of algorithms showing them the left conference. And then you're going to get this super powerful on the right side echo chamber algorithmically placed in the right. If people don't see that they're getting pushed towards hating each other, then I don't know what to say. It's not even about my opinion about him or about them. It's about what if you can step back and actually see that you are being manipulated fully and utterly. Dex, and this wouldn't be us. This would be China or Russia or Iran or a combination of all of them. Having clandestine services, having investments in our media companies, having people on the payroll, having people very, very high up that make the decisions, being able to cover things and to make it like this. Or it could be our own clandestine services because they are doing some sort of big move and some sort of massive change. And I'm talking about massive, like, what if we are going to digital and collapsing the dollar because we're moving into a new currency? That's something that people think is crazy. The more you think about it, the more possible it could be. Dex, Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino to leave Minnesota. And this is the gentleman that, everybody has a different opinion on him. It's less about the opinion. It's more about the now controversy that has stemmed from him potentially getting fired, potentially leaving. Everybody's saying that this is a loss or that they're bowing down to the left. The situation in itself, most people are they believe that the event that happened, the guy that got unalived, that he was in the right and it was wrong for him to be taken out. Or people see it that it wasn't, that it was a rightful thing and that they were doing their job. Those two sides are never going to agree. Dex, what do you think about this and the controversy about if he's even fired or not?
Well, in reality, I think both sides should sort of back off and realize that nothing matters until an investigation is done and a jury has looked at it, or even a judge
body cam footage,
looked at the evidence and stop deciding. I mean, I haven't made a decision in my mind. I look at it and think it's a very complex issue, and there's no reason for me to take a position saying that the agents were in the right or the guy was in the right. The whole thing's messed up. And it's really complicated. And I don't think anybody should necessarily go ahead and take a strong position one way or the other. But look, because of the massive amount of consternation that has now built up in a monstrous way in Minnesota, you've got 2 Americans that have perished over the events for various reasons and why they've gone down. We are now seeing that Tom Homan is going to be moving in and taking the lead role as the spokesperson and the person in charge in Minnesota. And they are saying that some are saying Gregory Bovino is leaving. Some are going so far as to say he's leaving completely, and others are just saying, no, he's just not going to be in charge in Minneapolis. He's moving on. So Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino was the face of the campaign to arrest and deport the illegal criminal aliens, and is going to be leaving Minnesota along with some of the agents. Bovino and an unspecified number of agents will be leaving the state as soon as Tuesday, according to multiple federal sources. The news came as President Trump announced that he would be deploying the border czar Tom Homan to take point in Minnesota. But White House Secretary Carolyn Leavitt defended Bovino, calling him a wonderful man and saying that he is going to very much continue to lead Customs and Border Patrol throughout and across the country. So that could just be lip service because maybe he is getting early retirement or getting the axe, or some have suggested he's going back to his prior role as the Border Patrol El Centro sector in Southern California. All of this is sort of unknown, and I think it's kind of irrelevant because the main point they need to have a fall guy publicly. They need to be able to say, hey, all this stuff is bad. We need to have a fresh face. You had Trump announce today that he met with Waltz, which we'll talk about the details of that in a moment. But the gist of that has to be take somebody out and put somebody else in. Otherwise, you don't. But here's one more thing, Adam, real quick. I'm sorry. This is my opinion on this. I think this is a mess in the sense that we, the U.S. government, jumped the gun, so to speak, on running in to Minneapolis when they just had this fraud stuff unveiled. And had they just sat back and said, let's do nothing but legal action on the fraud and unwind and untwine and dig into all of those details, that would have been the spotlight. And because they said, well, let's run in and start doing deportations in a big way in Minneapolis, it gave an opportunity for those involved to then turn that into something so big that it just basically put that to the back burner where nobody is talking about.
That's not an accident.
Yeah. And so either they handed it to them because they were foolish, they being the U.S. government handed it to their opposition because they were foolish enough to say, well, let's go in there and get that too. Or they did it by design. They said, we know we can go in here and we can create a monstrous confrontation amongst the sides because it will flare up. And I think it was just it's a bad move, in my opinion. They should have sat back and said, we'll deal with deportation in Minneapolis later. Let's take the legal side and go after the fraud.
Think about this. A YouTuber started this. I mean, if you actually think about it, a gentleman, a regular person did all the research on this, got a hold of the right YouTuber, which again, the people are questioning that too, like thinking, man, this is it all conveniently worked out. Sometimes it does though. Sometimes just this storm happens out of nowhere. You get a tornado that just forms out of nowhere. And I mean, this started with Nick Shirley's video. Because if you think it's an accident, because they went in there after this huge thing and everybody, it made the public case. Everybody was mad about the Somali daycare thing. And then you've got people literally going there. Everybody's on social media now. Everybody has their own channel. So everybody's videotaping, going around the city. That put people on edge too. The day before all of this went down, there were a ton of people interviewed, and they said, yeah, we've got so many creators coming here, going to all the daycares, going to normal daycares even. Normal daycares that are not owned by anything that have been around. They were going like kinder cares and stuff and going like, what are you doing here? They didn't, a lot of people didn't know what they were doing. They just went down there to film all of the daycares. And then all of a sudden you've got a bunch of people filming kids at daycares and not realizing like the ones that they're talking about don't have kids at them, right? Or many of them. And then you've got a bunch of like adults filming freaking kids at a daycare. That wasn't right either. So yeah, this whole thing is just a cluster. Now, I want to point out there's another video that I think you guys should see in another channel. If you haven't seen, I'm sure most of you already know about Survival Lily. She's even been on, Afraid, Naked and Afraid. She is such a badass. But situation in Europe, she is talking about how that Norway, and I got to represent that Norwegian, Norway is preparing to seize property in the case of war. So she's talking about this now. I have not seen this yet, so I have not seen at least the news cover this yet. I'm sure that it's either out there already or they're talking about it in Norway, and we're about to get delayed news about it. So that's very, very interesting stuff. Again, very, very good channel as well. Before we move on, make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply if you haven't already. If you don't have food in your fridge, if you're one of the many that has 3 days of food, then I'd highly, highly recommend getting yourself some freeze-dried food because it lasts 25 years. It's very, very travelable. You can put it in a backpack. You can fit a whole lot more food because it is shrunk down as far as freeze-dried. All you have to do is add water, cook in water, or cook in sauce, and it brings it back to life. And again, it can last up to 25 years. It is the best way to preserve food because it keeps most of the nutrients and the flavor in. And when you want it and when you need to eat it, when you need it, it's there. And it's very, very easy to prep. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, this is going to get you a discount, a massive discount on the 1 month and the 3 months. Those usually rotate. So again, you can get a giant chunk off the 1 month and the 3 month in a rotation. You can also get a 72-hour kit. You can get a little bit at a time. I know that there's a Foogle family member that just does a little bit at a time. A couple things a week, and then every paycheck she just gets a couple of them. And you build that up over a year, all of a sudden you've got a bunch, and it still has 24 years left on its cycle. So marfooglenews.com/prep. That's going to be good until over the year 2050. Into the 2050s. So yeah, very, very smart move. marfooglenews.com/prep, and it comes quickly. All right, and then you have Walz knockdown major update in Minnesota standoff as the president to look into ICE exit, but insists all illegal migrants be turned in first. So, I mean, Dex, he's basically saying we're going to get everybody out of there first, and then we'll leave. But I don't think that's what they want.
Well, yeah, exactly. He is. They had a phone call. Walz and Trump both had a call today, and they were discussing the tensions. They both came out saying the call was productive. And Trump announced on his social media that they were on the same wavelengths, and he said that. And I think Walz said that Trump would talk with the Department of Homeland Security about allow these state prosecutors to conduct their own investigation potentially around Alex Prete. The call came hours before it was revealed that the Border Patrol Gregory Bobino and some of his agents were going to be leaving. They also said that he announced that they had agreed upon, this was what I read from Trump's statement, they had agreed upon allowing the Immigration and Border Patrol to get the people that were in jail. In other words, one of the biggest complaints they've had is that in Minnesota, they don't hand over, or in Minneapolis specifically, they weren't handing over these people that were wanted by ICE when they were arrested. Instead, they would just arrest them for whatever. And then when they were done with them, they would throw them back on the street. And then ICE would have to then go into the streets to get them and find them. As opposed to being rung by the local authorities saying, hey, we got this guy, we picked him up for whatever reason, and we know you want him, so you can come get him in the sanity and comfort of a jail, as opposed to out in the streets where you might have to run into protesters or deal with a criminal who might do something dangerous. So apparently that has been agreed upon by Walz to allow that to happen, and I guess that's why they're sort of saying that Trump's agreeing that, hey, things will happen if they insist that all those illegal migrants will be turned in first. So I'm thinking they want all the ones that are in custody now, as well as being given help by the local authorities to get the others so that ICE doesn't have to do the job.
Tuck Pup says Walz won't give up the benefit file list for immigrants on government benefits. That's the issue. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your support, Tuck Pup. I appreciate that. And then as far as well, and I don't think he ever will. You've got two sides that are never going to see eye to eye on this, and people. I see that they're pushing a lot of the stuff that they have now. That we're going to possibly work with it. You have the White House trying to chill things down, possibly. Who knows? It really depends on what happens next. Either way, it goes in this roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, it's going to be the end of the world, and then it's not. Well, look at what it's doing to gold and to silver. This definitely plays into everything. And the amount of money that's going into this is not just regular people buying gold. I'm sorry. This is definitely, countries are buying it as if we were headed into war, and people aren't seeing this. Let's see here. Gold price, $5,098. Let's go just to 5 days. It was at 4,700 just 5 days ago. Okay, this is $500 in 5 days. For that amount of money to go into gold is absolutely insane. It is up again 363 points in just the last what is that? 1 week. Okay, and then 5 years, right? Let's go to 1 year. This is crazy. It was at just over 2,700. If you actually go, well, let's see here. If you go to 1 year ago. I wish I could do a year and a half, because it was at about $2,000. It's went from, look at that. It has just gone up to 5,100 while we have been watching. Now, it is at, oh my gosh. Okay, so that's gold, right? It has now just gone up $3 in the last 30 seconds. It is going up as we speak. Okay, we'll check it at the end of the show. It's so unbelievable. And then let's go to silver price. This is what people put their money in when they think that the dollar's about to fail. It is almost at
that was a futures price, by the way.
Okay, thank you. This is silver.
Not a spot price.
Silver futures are at 110. Let's go to, yeah, good point. Let's go to spot.
Yeah, silver spot's about the same. Gold spot was about $10 less.
Okay, let's see here. Gold spot price. Oh. Let's get rid of that. Boom.
You go to APMEX, APMEX.
Yep, I got it.
That's a good one.
Wow. It's still at 5,085. So you will be able to walk in and you'll be able to get that at a lot of gold dealers. You have an ounce of gold, boom, $5,085. That is insane. That is so insane. I mean, $500 in a week. And yes, and in 1 week, it has gone up from 4,700. Now it is at 5,100, or about $15 short. This is why we have told you guys for so long. And then spot price is at 110. It is actually better. It is better than the futures. So you have silver at $110. That's going to the moon. To put that in perspective, you could have made $100 on almost every, if you just invested it back when we told you a couple of years ago. That's insane. Dex, go ahead.
Silver's up, just looking on a 1 week basis, silver's up 16.17%. Gold's only up 6.4%. And when you look at a 1 year basis, like you were looking at earlier, I mean, gold's only up 92% on the spot on a 1 year, but silver is up 279% on a 1 year basis. Like, silver's just been going insane, and it's a lot of the buys for manufacturing right now, especially China hoarding and not allowing a lot of the silver out and trying to gobble it all up because it's needed for electronics.
This is people need to realize how serious this is. We are most definitely seeing something big happening right now. The countries, the world leaders know this. The politicians know this. Meanwhile, the media is telling you that everything is going to be okay, that everything is a nothing burger. Please get prepared, people. Get your friends and family. Just however you have to do it. Don't make it an emergency, because then they will do the opposite. Don't say you have to do this. Say you should think about this. Put the seed in their head that they need to start prepping. This kind of thing does not happen when there's nothing coming. Angelo Perfelli says, we appreciate all you do. Well, thank you, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here, night after night. Especially since the platforms aren't going to be pushing us out. It's you guys that are, and we appreciate all of you that share our stuff out, subscribe, and click that notification bell to all. Study finds Russian Grand 5 drone relies on American and German parts. Now, I thought this was interesting. We are not on the best terms with Germany right now. German officials have essentially said that they do not feel like they are being trusted right now. I showed you that one of those officials ended up saying that they are having a hard time getting information from the U.S., that they've been completely cut out of the picture, that they have to have German diplomats in Washington, D.C., essentially go and try to track people down to try to find out what they're doing with their military. And that's crazy because we have a U.S. base in Germany. We have multiple connections in that area. So they're essentially saying that the U.S. does not trust Germany. Now, you have all of these Russian Duran 5 drones. They're finding that there is American and German parts. Well, it would make sense if there's American parts in the German, the German components, right? Because we're allies. So is Germany secretly working with Russia is my question. Is there some side work going on here with Germany? Now, if you're in Germany or if you are offended by that, I'm just asking the question. We never know. We never know who could end up on the other side of things. There's been a lot of stories about Germany. Is it all propaganda? Is something going on? But that was my question with that. They said the Russian Turan 5 missile drones used by Russia to attack Ukraine earlier this year rely on Western microelectronics. This conclusion is based on analysis of components published by War and Sanctions. The microchips used in the Turan 5 originate from several countries, including Germany and the United States. Some components are manufactured in China, such as the XK. The study of Turan 5's component base identified electronics by U.S. companies, Texas Instruments, CTS Corporation, and Monolithic Power Systems. And then the other question is, do you have infiltration into our country where we're sneaking out our parts to China and to Russia? That's the other thing, is there's a lot of folks that believe that over the last 4 years that we had a lot of infiltration in our government and that we had people that were on the payroll of other countries. Hence all that stuff that happened, and most people, have their own thoughts on that. Tell us what you think in the comments down below. Again, what do you guys think? Put it down below. And then Dex, the Department of War. This is crazy. When I first saw this tweet, I was like, is that legit?
Yeah, I had to do a double take too.
Light speed lethality.
Yeah, I mean, it says it all right there. The Department of War CTO, yes, the Department of War has directed energy weapons. We are scaling them. Light speed lethality and directed energy dominant. So no longer, look, we've all known, we've said it in this community, but talk about just let's put it out front and center. And I think a lot of this comes especially to light when you get these rumors now and sort of side steps, confirmations from leadership, including Trump and others, about what went down in Venezuela, that, maybe some sort of unique and new technology that's never been seen before was used. And now you've got, the Department of War coming out and saying, yeah, take a look. We're absolutely front and center of this stuff.
Now, I wonder, is this picture that they're using, this looks like it's on a regular building, but that looks like maybe a truck. This looks like the window in the lower left-hand corner. Let me just show you here. In the lower left, it looks like that's a truck door. Like this is a mobile unit, right? But then you have this fan, which possibly could be used for the heater, the generator, or whatever is generating the power for this to be used. Is this a real a picture, or is this just an animation? They colored it red, but that's that's just a filter, right? Is this an actual truck? This looks like a thing, or is this a building, right? Well, my question is because could this be in buildings around the coastlines, right? Could you have a industrial-like building with this on top all around our coastlines to shoot things down? Or is this a mobile truck with something that could do this kind of thing? And could they use directed energy in a different way to do kind of what they had happen in Venezuela? There's a lot of theories going around. Of course, even Asmongold had a video responding to this animation showing the two different theories they have on what happened to the Venezuelan soldiers when we went in and took out Maduro. They even think that there was a couple mounted helicopter directed kind of bulleted microwaves that were used to make these guys sick, to either microwave brains to make them incapacitated or to microwave their guts. I mean, both of the options they're looking at, it essentially microwaved people like you put in a frozen TV dinner, only this was like a TV dinner gun. That's what they're saying that they might have done to these people, and why everybody was so busy puking they couldn't fire back at these super soldiers that were firing 300 bullets per second. I mean, we're in wild times right now. And then directed energy, if you remember, when I first started my show, you could get kicked off of the platform for this. Did you know that? I know at least two people. They are in construction now. They used to be YouTubers. They got kicked off for talking about directed energy. And we all said it was real. And then a few years back, you had this press conference. This was like 5 years ago, something. It was during CV, where the guy says, yes, not only is directed energy real, that Russia and China have weaponized space with it. This was back when we were talking about Tianjin and all of these weird events that looked like something from space potentially did it, right? And now of course it's real. But it is crazy that they are just straight up pointing. They're saying, yes, Department of War has directed energy weapons. Yes, we are scaling them. So we are making them bigger and better. We're making them smaller and more efficient. My opinion is the people that got kicked off for talking about this years ago should absolutely be reinstated, but that's just my opinion. Dex, talk about China experts raise alarms over Xi's sweeping military purge.
Well, yeah, experts say a scope of apparent shakeups points to a mounting instability under Xi Jinping, with the potential implications for Taiwan tension. So China's sudden removal of senior military leaders includes allegations that a top general leaked some stuff, which I believe we're going to talk about specifically in just a moment. But it's not just him. It's a lot that have been shaken up. It's raising these questions about what's actually been going on with a handful of these military leaders, high level military leaders, all of a sudden missing, gone, which some say are either been removed, shaken up, whatever. But it's an unprecedented purge, reflects Xi's clear focus on control and cohesion, ensuring that the PLA and its politically reliable, centralized, and obedient before it can be tasked with high-risk operations. Some are suggesting that this is obviously the things that you would do before you go into Taiwan. It does not mean a conflict is imminent, but it does show how serious Xi treats the prospect of having to use military in the coming years. Others may suggest that this looks like there could have been some shakeups going on. Maybe there was a potential for people to try to gain more power, and he didn't like that. Maybe even a coup, as some have suggested, which is really very much on the fringe edge there of ideas that are floating around this. Some analysts are comparing these developments to Stalin-era purges in the late 1930s. There certainly are echoes, but I think their closer analogy is Moscow in 1979, when Soviet political leaders pushed for the invasion of Afghanistan, despite strong military warnings that it would be unsustainable and devolve into a costly guerrilla war. Imagine that, it actually did. So, but they never mind the fact that their leadership told them not do that. We'll just sweep them under the rug and move on with new leadership because we're going to do what we're going to do. And that's what a lot of people are saying. This looks like what Xi is doing. He doesn't like what his military leadership is telling him. So he has shaken it up in a big way. And it's not just 1, 2, or 3. It's a significant number of people that have been removed all of a sudden.
And this isn't the only shakeup that's happening. We have a historical moment. Japan has dissolved the House of Representatives, called for early elections. They're doing a snap vote. The parliament cheers to the decree. Banzai. Japan is returning to its old glory. And by the way, many of this, as you guys know, that this president of Japan is the essential. She was mentored by the ex-president who was taken out. And he wanted to restore Japan to its military glory. She is of the same opinion, that they should be an offensive force. They are changing things like their constitution to not only be just a self-defense force. Just much like how Germany destroyed many of its industrial powers and now relies on Russia for a lot of the things now. They did that because Russia and Japan, after World War II and after they surrendered, they made a lot of agreements, but they also obviously took the stance that, hey, this isn't going to happen again. We're not going to push things like we used to. Well, now that's all reversing. You now have Japan doing the snap vote. This has a lot to do with why people are talking about a collapse. Warren Buffett just put $350 billion into the yen. If you don't know why that people are talking about dollar collapse and why all of this is happening, potentially, people going into gold and silver, I think a big part of this is Japan. You see one move, big move like Warren Buffett putting $350 billion into their money. That's something that shakes up the financial world. People follow, Warren Buffett. They look at that. Did Warren Buffett get a memo? That's the scary part here is we are talking about, our potential system collapsing. And it's droned out by, of course, everything that's going on with Minneapolis and this and that. People argue about what's distraction and what's not distraction. Well, there's some serious evidence that we could be being distracted or that we are being attacked at the same time as attacking. Japan is doing this because when they do this snap vote, that means that the president there, the prime minister of Japan, is stating that she does not have faith in their parliament, and she wants to. This is a risky move. To do a snap vote like this is to basically dissolve their entire parliament and to do a snap vote. And she believes that when they do this, that she will get a better result when they do this snap vote. They very well could end up bad. There is one case, France did one as well. France, it went horrible, and I'm trying to think of who did this. UK, I believe, it did a very similar thing, and it ended up being an okay example of this. But France did it, and they've been having riots and protests ever since. Obviously, it ended up more on the other side where, people were pissed about the raising age of this and this and this and that. There was all of these events that happened in France after this happened. So something is going on in the entire planet. You have to look big picture right now. We are on the precipice of a massive event. And I hope that people get the word out to as many friends and family as they can that they need to have a basic plan if something happens. If a collapse happens, if you think it's crazy that people are panic buying for this cold storm, think about when there are serious rumors that our economy is about to collapse. If those get magnified or amplified right now, and I'm sure they will by China and Russia and social media, then just imagine when every store is empty. That's what people are worried about in the prepper community right now. That's what people in the ex-military and retired and current military are worried about right now. So yeah, this is everybody wants to focus on these political things and the hatred towards the other side. I would pay attention to your family and what you're going to be doing in case this gets really, really bad. And if it doesn't, and if we're sitting here a year from now and nothing happened, that's great. Because we are all praying that things happen the way that they're supposed to and that things get calm and that everybody uses calmer heads to prevail. But that doesn't always happen. And the timeline is getting closer and closer. Watch Japan, people. I told you years ago, watch Japan. Especially when their president was taken out. Within 3 weeks of that, I told you, this is because they are militarizing their country. Now they're putting more money into military than they ever have before. This is World War III. People just don't realize it yet. Dex, let's go into China's top general. Right after, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. This is a device that will protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, and boats against any kind of adversarial attack. If they wanted to take out the United States, 80% of the scenarios that they have war games about are an EMP or our power grid going down in some fashion or an attack on our power grid and communications. If you think about it, any military attack on any target, whether it's a building, whether it's a hostage situation, whether it is taking somebody out, they turn off the lights and they, of course, turn off the power. They turn off communications. That's the 101. So if it ever happens to us, you want to be protected. You want your cars to be able to run. You want your generators to turn on. You want your house and everything in it to be protected against EMP or any kind of surge like this. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This will also protect you against a Carrington level event from the sun. So if we have a natural version of this, which people have talked about forever, when that happens, that's a when, not if, then you'll be protected. It will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it fries your device. You can get this for all sorts of devices and put it in less than 10 minutes in your car. Anybody can do it. You don't need a handyman. You don't need a mechanic. You just hook it up to your battery and to your chassis. Boom, you're done. 3 wires. marfooglenews.com/EMP. $50 off, grandfathered in per device with every use of that code MARF. All right, and you're helping us out at the same time. China's top general accused of leaking nuclear weapons secrets to the U.S. Dex, go ahead.
So this is one of the shakeups, and I guess they're coming up with this theory, or maybe it's the truth. But Zhang Zhao, 75, also reportedly probed over efforts to build his own sphere of influence within the CCP, is the latest of the officials that are now being targeted by Xi Jinping's purge. The Chinese military top general is reportedly being investigated for leaking information about Beijing's nuclear weapons program amid a long-running purge of military officials by the country's leader. China's defense ministry announced on Saturday that Zhang Zhu, 75, the senior of the two vice chairs of the powerful Central Military Commission, was being investigated for suspected serious violations of discipline and law, but did not provide details. But people familiar with the briefing attended that morning by top Chinese officers told the newspaper that on Sunday, he had been accused of sharing technical information on China's nuclear weapons with Washington. That's a pretty big allegation. That's a pretty big charge. I wonder if it's true, but nonetheless, he is one of many, as we just reported, that were being shaken up and taken out in Xi's top military.
Yes, and so that involves the U.S., right? Iran and all of its protests. Obviously, they've accused Israel. They've accused us of being involved in that somehow. And then now you have China having their kind of crazy thing. Now, the coup attempt is now being said that it's not verified and it's not debunked. They literally say, you can go ask Grok, you can ask ChatGPT. It will say that there's not enough information about it. It is verified that this guy is being shaken up. It is verified that all of these names have now been shaken up. It has not been verified that 3,000 people have been arrested. It's not verified that the military personnel and their families that were a part of a potential coup have been arrested. But they said that, and there's all of the, information like this. Like, unfortunately, Xi received intelligence 2 hours before the incident. But if this is true, and it's everywhere, it is everywhere about this. And again, they're saying if this is true, then they might have just tried to take out Xi at the same time. With all of the other stuff happening around the world, with Iran, with Maduro, with all of this, would you put it past us that... And by the way, this would go along the exact lines of what I have been saying this entire time. That all of these countries were planning attacks on us, that they had property right next to our bases, that they were doing something, that they shipped thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people along with the millions of others, that they were planning a massive event on the United States. I might end up looking like a moron because the president is now going against every one of the people all of the countries I talked about. They are now doing clandestine services in all of them. It looks like there's regime changes or possible taking out of leaders in all of these countries. Cuba, China, North Korea, in Iran, in Russia. All of the above are having crazy things happen in their country right now. And every time there's some sort of involvement with the U.S. So does it make more sense that this is happening? Exactly how I said it. It's obvious to me. But people tell me, and sometimes you even doubt yourself. But I said, I'm sticking to my guns on this one. And as the years have gone by, people say, you've been saying that for years. It's getting closer and closer and more evidence. But the thing is how the media portrays it is, oh, no, this is totally unrelated. There's no verification. But then again, you look at the scenario and you go, well, wait. It's like a web, and it's all connected to everything that's been happening. And I don't need vindication. I know. This is why I've been worried. But at the same time, it feels good to know that something's happening, but these are all risky things. They have contingency plans. They have plan B, plan C, plan D. If they were planning on attacking this country, especially now that there's a system that may make mutually assured destruction and may cement the United States as the number one country in the world, if we finish the Golden Dome, then this would happen soon. It will happen in 2026 or 2027. I believe later this year it will happen, because if they are going to finish the Golden Dome, if they figure something out with this, The amount of effort they've put into Greenland and all of these other things, it tells me that something is about to go down. If there's going to be an attack on us, it is going to be sooner than later. And it makes me feel better that we are going after all of these other countries that were about to plan this attack. But I also think about their plans, and they probably foresaw some sort of reaction. They probably foresaw that our intelligence would catch this stuff. They know that we're tracking all of the cell phone messages, everything else. There's a reason why Russia made an intranet, right? They made the ability to cut off their internet and separate it. There's a reason why Iran has now separated their internet and cut it off right now and jammed it. Because they're planning something, they're doing something right now, and they don't want information to get out. It's not just so that people aren't, freaked out in Iran. It's because there is messages being sent, and they don't want the United States getting their hands on it. There's a reason why China's internet is so separate, because we are enemies. They are planning things left and right. They have a 1 million-man army. They have invested in all the right places. They may have less carriers than us, but they have a ton more of the people that matter at this point in 2026, social media, power and persuasion. And they have done the biggest operation we've ever seen. That is why you're seeing Americans saying, oh, China's so great. It's so great that you can't say anything other than that. Say they're so bad and see what happens. You'll quickly lose any kind of reach that you had. If you say they're great, I'm sure you'll go viral, because they're somehow able to pull strings like that if you're saying that they're awesome. Thank you from Australia, or I'm sorry, good day from Tasmania, says Blackbird. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. Again, especially in times like now. What do you guys think about this? Again, there is a lot of, you just go type in coup, you'll see the claims, but who knows? And then Elon posted this, says, wow. So Keefe was there Keefe was trying to cover this. Obviously, Keefe is working on a project. He was in Minneapolis. O'Keefe, obviously, he's got his own thing now. What was it? Wow. What was
OMG?
OMG. O'Keefe Media Group. And he got a random message, says, we know you're in Minneapolis. You're with O'Keefe and his crew of these. You're in a white Ford license plate blank from Florida. Obviously, it's not blank. You have 1 hour to leave, or you're not going to be on this earth anymore, is essentially what they say. And it has the Apple message, basically, if you did, this is an unknown sender. So he got this. I'm not going to put that numbers on there too. And what O'Keefe and his people said is that they didn't tell anybody they were going to be there. So maybe, somebody spotted him and said, hey, I see him right there. But then the fact that they had the ability to be able to find the person and find their number and then get a hold of them and send them a text. Who knows? Maybe they went on Bin Verified, looked up the license plate, and then looked up the potential owner and texted it, and it just happened to be the actual guy. That could be too. Because they didn't have O'Keefe's number, they had somebody that was with him. They totally could have used some paid service to look up the license plate number.
If it wasn't a rental.
If it wasn't a rental, yeah.
I mean, likelihood they flew in, they're in a rental car. That's why it's got a Florida tag on it. They didn't drive from Florida.
Or O'Keefe.
I mean, they could have, but.
Or O'Keefe had a fan there that he's talked to, or friends there that took him, but yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we're seeing right now, and who knows? This could be totally made up to get a story out of it. Who knows? But I think that right now we are really at the cusp of something big, and people really need to pay attention, especially with my state. Looking at what's happening, we haven't had any really press conferences about this. Now all of a sudden we're preparing for a worst case scenario. That's a quote from one of our mayor or governor or whatever, Ferguson. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. This is where you can get a kit with all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics in a kit discreetly to your door after a quick telehealth appointment from your cell phone, tablet, or other device. right to your door. Again, marfooglenews.com/Jase, Jase. Make sure to use the code MARF to get a discount and to help our independent media at the same time. It says they had a snitch, Leprezio says. So on as the O'Keefe thing, O'Keefe sponsors that encryption cell. Yeah, I don't know. It says if you could, you should, MFer. Let's see here. Palantir is tracking us all, LOL. Well, yeah, that's true as well. Blackbird said, Milosh, thank you for the OHIO from my people in Ohio. Angela Perfelli, thank you. Spanky, 4200, member for 3 months, says sending prayers to everyone from Iowa. Hey, again, thank you, and thank you to Iowa and Iowans. Jason Momoa. You guys know what I'm saying. And then Tuck Pup, thank you so much. I believe you were one of the top supporters tonight. Thank you so much. Patrix4213. Steve Click says, recall message. No one can stop what's coming. Well, again, I don't know. I haven't followed that since 2017. But yeah, there's a lot of messages there I thought about over the years. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Make sure to go check out our mods. Again, thank you to Chance. Thank you for holding it down tonight. Thank you, Bobby Sue. Thank you, Wages World, Trinity, Ilea, RGL Harris, Rip Curl Readiness, Lisa Hall, longest running mod, and Jammer, Gem, CJ Blaze, and of course, Bones. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for making it tonight. All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. Thank you. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Life that you gave us, please come save us. What we need now is a savior. Tell you they lied to you, they always manipulate, and now they play ya. Life that you gave us, please come save us. What we need now is a savior. Tell you they lied to you, they always manipulate, and now they play ya. Life that you gave us, please come save us. What we need now is a savior.